Okay, so what I want to do in this video is take a look at the tree generator. This is for FS19. It's a Giants editor script which adds some extra functionality. There's quite a bit involved here. Different files will need to be added in. The map itself will have to be edited in the i3D. But I'm going to go through everything here, what is required, how to set it up. Now, this particular script, I believe, is somewhat of an addition to the foliage creation script, again, for the Giants editor. As it says here, if foliages are already being created by bitmap, then why not trees? So you need to go to the GitHub page. This is the link. There are limited to no instructions because Kevin K98, the author of the script, hasn't got around to putting those together yet. They may come at some point in the future, but there's quite a lot of information here in the forum on the LS Mod company website. So I would recommend to come here if you have any problems with anything, you're not quite sure about something, come here, post your question, and I'm sure somebody will help you out. I'm just going to do an overview of what is required to get this all up and running, and quick demonstration and whatever else. That's about as far as I'm going to go into it, just to get people aware of what is required, because again, with no to limited instructions, can be a little bit of a head scratcher on what is required and how to set things up. So I'm going to click on the link, which will then take me to the GitHub page. So we have a script here. You can always go back one, and you will need to do that because we need to have a fruit density GRLE to make everything work. As I said, there are some instructions, but in the documentation here, but it is somewhat limited and it is in German. Also, this is for the foliage creator. Some parts in here will be the same when it comes to the actual information for the fruit density PNG, and how to set up your info layer and whatever else. But again, it's in German. If you don't speak German like myself, then it can be a little bit difficult to understand what is actually going on with all of this other stuff. Is that relevant? So I have actually converted this into English using Google Translate. So again, the algorithm for Google Translate is pretty good, but sometimes it doesn't always give you the best results. But you can, see what I've done here for that. And have a read while I kind of pause. I'll scroll through this very slowly, and you can pause the video just to read through this if you wanted to. But basically, this is what we have. So Foliage Creator Script simplifies the painting of various types of foliage. So like I say, the tree generator script is built up on the back of this script, or in addition to this original script set. We have some general information for that, and then like I say, so we need to have a fruit density GRLE in the maps folder, wherever you need to put that. This file can be found on the GitHub page as I've shown. They need to open up the actual map i3D in the Giants editor, in the text editor, sorry, Notepad++ or whatever text editor you want to use there, and then create your actual entry for that PNG, and then we need to set up an info layer. So in the info layer tag section in the i3D, you need to enter this line here. So this file ID number here will basically match what this is here that joins those parts together. Then that can be saved, and we open the map in the Giants editor. And then there's some scripting in. Now this particular scripting, again, is mostly to do with the foliage creator, but there is some information there that can be quite helpful. So like I say, pause the video and have a read through all of this stuff if you wanted to. I'm not going to actually share this because it's not mine to share, as in, the file, what I've converted here. And I don't want to, like I say, because this is converted from German to English using Google Translate, some parts in here might not be 100%, so I don't want to share something that might be misleading in certain areas. But as far as, if you want to pause the video and read through it on the screen, that's fine. Go for that if that's. But anyway, so hopefully that's enough there. But So we've got, I go back a couple pages here. So we've got the tree generator Lua script, and again, this is a Giants editor script. Doesn't need to be included in the map. This is to be added to the Giants editor. And as it says, we will need the fruit density GRLE to paint down our bitmap onto the actual terrain where we're going to generate our trees. So what I want to do then is, first of all, I'm going to create the actual script, or add the script to the Giants editor. I'm going to show you two ways to do that. The one way is to actually create the script within Giants editor, and then another way is to create it outside of Giants editor and add it to the scripts folder for Giants editor, which is my preferred method, and I'll show you why. So what I'm going to do then is we're going to here, we have the script. You can't just download this, you need to copy it. So just click and drag, and then once you get down to the bottom here, you can release the left mouse button, and then everything there is highlighted. So we copy that, just Control C to copy that. And then what I need to do is basically, oops, wrong button. Let's go into the Giants editor. So I have got several different versions installed. So we need to have Giants editor 8.22 or FS19. And then what you need to do is create a script. So we go scripts, create new script, and you type in your name of whatever you want to put in there. So if you wanted to have the name the same as what this is, so tree generator.lua. So if we go back to the Giants editor, so we would do tree generator. Okay, and then we go create, and it adds it in here under the user section, and then you can just delete all of this stuff. So we'll just get rid of all of that, and then Control V to paste in our new script, like so. Done. And that's it. Then you just click save, and you're ready to go. That's the quick and easy way to do it, if you like. But it's not my preferred way of doing it, simply because this will now be saved in my app data folder, which is a hidden folder. So if I wanted to delete this particular script, there's no easy way of doing that as far as I'm aware. And I'm always a little bit kind of dubious about this, because it says delete folder. Might be overthinking it slightly, but because you can create a folder, delete a folder, explore a folder. If I delete the folder, does that mean it deletes this script, or does it mean it deletes the whole user folder? If it deletes the entire folder, then it means any scripts I add in this way, and it automatically puts them in the user folder here. If I have 20 different Giants editor scripts in here, for example, if I right click and go delete folder, it's going to delete every single one of them. And I don't particularly maybe want to do that. So that's not really the way I would prefer to do it. And I don't think there's any way of actually moving these within here. You can't just click and drag them around like so. So I'm not really sure on that. I don't really use this too often. I'm not. This is not my preferred way of doing this. So I'm going to show you the alternative way. So if I close that down, and we'll close down Giants Editor, what I'm going to do is take this information here, open up Notepad++, and I'm going to go Control V and paste it into here, and then I'm going to File, Save As, go to my desktop, and we'll just type in the name again here. So I've got a new keyboard, so I'm just trying to get used to that. You know, it sounds silly getting used to a keyboard. A keyboard is a keyboard, but my old one was quite a largish keyboard, old school style memory keyboard, you know, memory type system, whatever you call it. Not memory. Anyway, whatever they're called, I can't remember now. But it wasn't like one of the cherry key type, you know, things. Membrane, that's the word I was trying to think of. And that finally gave up the ghost. So I've now got a new keyboard, and I'm trying to get used to it without, you know, it sounding too loud. So let's do and also it's a slightly different size. It's much smaller because it's a newer keyboard, newer style keyboard, if you like. You can put more into less these days, can't you? So anyway, so we've now got that, and very important, you need to put in there .lua, lua. If you don't put that in, it will just create it as a text. And I don't remember if lua is one of the actual extensions or whatever you call these things in the drop down. So it's just really easy. Just type .lua, and then when you save it, it'll automatically update it to the correct format. And that's pretty much that. So once we've got that created, I can close all of that down, and then all I need to do is open up where the Giants editor is installed. So for me, it's on my C drive, program files, Giants software, and then the Giants editor 8.22, and then in here scripts, and I've already got a user folder for my 16x Lua script for 16x size maps. All I need to do then is just drag that in. You will need to have administration or administrator privileges, but all you need to do is click continue, and it will then copy it over perfectly fine. And that way now I can access those scripts really easy, and delete them, modify them, do whatever I want with them without having to mess around trying to locate hidden files, which I will show you. If I go into here, I need to go users, and then me. Now I need to actually come up here and turn on hidden items, go into app data, local, then go to the Giants editor, and then go into scripts, and that's where it ended up. This is the one that I actually created in the Giants editor, and you can see how much messing around I have to do there, activating hidden items to actually locate that. So I'm going to delete that one. I don't want that one in there. So the way I do it is, I think, perhaps a little bit more long-winded, if you like, where you have to create it outside of the Giants editor in Notepad++, or whatever text editor you happen to be using. But if you wanted to then delete it, it's just so much easier to find it. And also I can actually create my own custom folder and put it wherever I want to put it. So if I wanted to put it under map, I could easily do that. I could put it into wherever I wanted to put it, and have more control over its location and what I do with it. So that's my preferred method, creating the script outside of the Giants editor in Notepad++, and then creating my own custom folder, just dragging it directly to that folder without having the hidden items. Anyway, so that's what I would do, but you can do it either way, whichever you prefer. Then we're going to go back to the main page here, and I want to download the Fruit Density GRLE. So I'm just going to click on that, click download, and I'm going to put this on my desktop. So make sure on my desktop, and then click save. I'm putting it on my desktop for now because I will need to actually make a duplication of that and then rename it. So if I go back to here, because as I said before, in the script, and we will look at that shortly, in the script itself, it needs two files, a fruit density and a field dimension GRLE. So yeah, we need to have this, and then I'm going to basically make a duplication of that and then rename it. So the first thing I need to do is obviously have a map. So I'm going to use a Felsbrun sample mod map here. So I'm just going to copy that out onto my desktop. This is one that I created earlier from Felsbrun. And then all I'm going to do here is open this one up, go into Maps, MapDE, and I'm going to take this one and then copy this, so Control C, and then I'm going to paste it into here. I'm just going to highlight the folder, Control V, and paste it in like so. Okay, done. And you'll notice, because we already have a fruit density GADM, they are named slightly different. This is fruit underscore density, and this is just fruit density with a capital D. Very important, because when we edit the i3D, it's going to be called fruit density.png, and the engine will actually read a GDM or a GLRE if the tag or the file associated is actually a PNG inside of the i3D. So if the extension is PNG, it will still read the GDM or the GRLE irregardless either way. So they need to be named something different, obviously, because you wouldn't be able to, even though this is a GDM and this is a GRLE, if you had them both the same kind of naming convention going on, there would be a conflict. It wouldn't know which one it was meant to be reading, so you could get a bit of a problem there. But anyway, so what I'm going to do then is we go back to here. What I want to do is, let's see, if I go into this, you can see here, just to show you, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see we have a path fruit density GRLE and a path field dimensions, and this needs to be edited in the script. We have our fruit density GRLE there and our field dimensions GRLE. Now I'm not going to be using the field dimensions GRLE, but because the script is looking for it, I want to include it, otherwise it will throw an error. Now theoretically I could actually mask that line out so that it doesn't get read, but you know, it's just a simple density file which is not really going to cause too many issues or any issues at all actually, and it's not a very big file, so for me it's just not really worth messing around trying to edit the script and then potentially break things. So I'm going to take the name from here, I'm just going to copy that, and then what I will do is go back to the desktop. I'm just going to rename this one, so we'll go Control V and then put that into there, Control X, and then highlight the folder, Control V, paste that into there. So I now have all my files. So I've got my field dimensions and my fruit density GRLE. Like I said, this one I'm not worried about, but I need it there so that the script doesn't fall over on its side when it can't find this. But this one I need to tell the map that this is actually here, otherwise it won't work. So we need to enter a couple of lines of text. So I'm going to open up the i3D in Notepad++. So right click, edit with Notepad++. We'll open this one up, and I'm going to then basically take the information from my converted German to English converted information here. You can see it, open the map in Notepad++ or any other text editor and insert the information below the files tag. So we just take this here, copy that like so, Control C to copy that. Now I'm going to come into here, create a new line at the top here, and then just go Control V and paste that in. Now because I've copied it from a PDF, it will need to be cleaned up a little bit, so we just need to come in here and tidy up, whoops, wrong one, tidy this up just a little bit like so, and this one here, tidy all of this up. Now this is going to be where the actual density file is located. So remember, this is in maps, map DE. So just trying to think now, this would be map DE, and then we can do that and that, there we go. So it'll be map DE and then fruit density.png. So that's that one done, and then we need to locate where the info section is. So here we need to come down to the info layer. So under info layer, we need to add this information. So I'm just going to drag and select all of that. Control C to copy that line. Come back over here, Control F to do a search. And in here, just type in there info layer. And then go find next. Do that a couple times and it will bring you down to the info layer section where our typical and farmland information is. So again, we create a new line, paste that into there like so. And again, as before, we just need to kind of tidy this up a little bit. So take the spaces out where appropriate, like so. There we go. So we've now got a new info layer all set up in there like so. And we go ahead and click save. Okay, and as I said before, remembering that this is actually, leave that as PNG, don't change that. So just mapd fruit density.png, and that's fine. So that's all saved. We close all of that down and then close that one down. Don't need that. So what I can do now is actually open the map in the Giants editor. And this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated, because we need to work with painting down the info layer and whatever else. And we also need to create templates of what trees we want to put where. So hopefully this will load up in a minute. There we go. Awesome. So when you get the Giants editor opened up, first thing I would check, just to make sure that it's all gone well, is come over to here. So open up your train editing windows. So just go window and then train editing. This might be over here, like so, or it could be over here. It could be anywhere. You can undock these and put them wherever you want. So just come down to the info layer painting section where our tip coal and farmland information. If we open this up and we see fruit density, our new info layer painting value, that's worked. So we can continue. Fantastic. So we can switch over to that one. And then what I would recommend to do here is to actually, first of all, set up your templates. So what we need to do is create a few different templates. So let's see what we want to do. So decide what trees you want to have in whatever you're going to be painting. So for example, I could just go with these ones over here. What's that? Spruce, pine? Can't really tell. Pine, I think. Looks like pine needles. So if I select that one there, oh, actually a spruce. Of course it is. Anyway, it's a tree. So if I say I want to have, you know, maybe stage 2 or stage 3, stage 4, whatever you want to have, then this is where I would go if I just want spruce trees. So first of all, what we need to do is create our template. So we're going to create a transform group. We're going to click on that and then rename that one. So we need to rename that to trees and pop-ups, of course. So we'll do like that, and we need to create another transform group. So create transform group. This one here, I'm going to cut that, Control X, and put it into this one here, like so. We have our parent and our child. And if we actually go back to the script here, you can see somewhere in amongst all of this stuff, and here we have our parent tag, child, and then our actual templates. Okay, so that's how that works. More pop-ups. Joy. So this one here, we're going to call this template. Oops. Template, I can't spell. There we go, like so. And then we just select our trees and put them into this. So what I would do here is just select whatever trees you want. So if I say I'm going on a spruce stage 2, hold down left control. So 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now I'm going to go Control C to copy those. I'm going to come down to my template here, Control V to paste them in. Now we'll put them in exactly the same place as where the other ones are. So you will need to delete these afterwards, otherwise you'll have trees on top of trees. You could always move these if you wanted to somewhere else, but I personally think it's just as easy to delete these after the fact. So once we've now got that all set up, we can go ahead and paint down our area. So I'm just going to, well, I'll just do this area here. Actually, it's convenient, so why not? So what we need to do then is under our info layer paint, make sure you're on fruit density. And what you might find is that when you go into there, you'll just have two values, 0 and 1, and that's wrong. So what you need to do is turn on the terrain info layer paint mode, first of all, then go to tip coal, and you will see your tip coal layer. Then when you go back to fruit density and go back in here, you'll see all of the density numbers reappear. Don't know why it does that, but it does that sometimes in the experience, limited experience I've been playing around with this today. So if for whatever reason you come into here and it doesn't have all these numbers, you just need to switch back to the tip coal and then turn on the terrain foliage, terrain info layer paint mode, and then, you know, move your cursor, make sure you move your cursor into the viewport here so that it actually does highlight the map with it. You could do the same with farmland, so like so. If I switch to tip coal and just don't do anything over here, and don't move my cursor from here into the viewport, it's going to stay on farmland. I need to actually move my cursor onto the map surface for it to switch over to the different info layer, and then go back to fruit density, move your cursor over here, and you should then find they all reappear. Don't know why it does it, but it does. So just one of those things you have to go with. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is we'll paint down a value just in this area here. That'll work fine for me. That's good enough to do the demonstration. You put it obviously wherever you want on your map. So what we need to do is select our value. So if I say 1 is what I'm going to be working with, then we just paint it in. So we'll just basically click and drag, paint the area in like so. Okay. Now this next part is these next parts are very important. Once you've painted that in, because it's using the bitmap system, it needs to then update the density file that we just put into our folder. So we've just put this density file, the fruit density GRLE, into here, and we need to make sure that that is updated with the information that we've just painted on the map. The only way we can do that is by saving the map. It won't automatically update once you've painted it. You have to update it yourself by saving the map. So we click save, and that will then update the density file with that bit, the info channel of 0 or layer value of 1, whichever way you want to look at it, with the correct information. So very important that we save the map. Then what we need to do is open the script. So we go Window, Script Editor, and then we need to find our script. So remember, I put it into User, Recreator just here. If I maximize that, hold down left control and scroll on the mouse wheel, you can zoom in on it or zoom out, whatever, make it a little bit easier to see. And then we need to update our path names here, the actual destination of where we've got our two density files. So because I've got this on my desktop, it's obviously not going to be any of this stuff here. So what we need to do is go back to here. If I right click, copy the address as text, what I would suggest to do is open up Notepad++ and then paste that in like so. And what you will need to do is replace the backslash with a forward slash. So if I go back into here, you can see it has a forward slash, not a backslash. So you'll need to come into here and just replace those with a forward slash. Now I'm not entirely sure, perhaps maybe you might be able to do it through the replace function. So you could come into here, go replace, and then do forward slash, and then go replace all, and it will replace them like so, easy. Okay, so now we've done that, I can just copy this line like so. So copy that line, come back over to here, and then we can overwrite this one. Let's just double check, that's fine. So all the way up to here, highlight all of that, Control V, do the same for this one. So all the way up to there, and then Control V. And that is the location of where those two density files are. Very important we do that, okay? And then what we need to do is actually change the bit value here of whatever we used when we painted down our value in here. Is it going? No, I need to minimize that. So whatever we painted, the value we used to paint this down in here, we need to change the, let's close that, don't need that anymore. We need to change that in the script. So I used 1, so I changed that to 1, like so. That's annoying. Let me put that up on my screen just for a second. You can see a layer value 1, so that's what we need to put into this box here, 1, or the value here of 1. Okay, so now that we've got all of that set up, if we've done everything correctly, what I should be able to do now is select my template, like so, and then execute the script. So we come back over to here, make sure you save it and then execute. And what we should have is our trees. Awesome, 124 trees created. Okay, so that's basically how you do that, and it will be a random variation of all of the different values that I basically selected in my template. So it will have some, you know, of the I'll open this up if it will let me. There we go. So if we come into here, it will have various different I don't know why it's done that. It shouldn't have done that, I don't think. Just double check here a second. Yeah, it's not done what I wanted it to do. This is what this actually has happened to me before. It separates the LODs, doesn't actually take the appropriate values. Don't know why that is. I wonder, let me just actually select trees instead of the template. That might be why it's doing it, because it requires the parent to be selected. We'll try that again. Let's just see what happens. So let's execute the script. That looks better already. Yeah, I think that's what it was. You need to make sure, yeah, that's much better. So you need to make sure you actually select the parent, not the child. So make sure you select the trees transform group, not the template transform group. Otherwise it will cause some issues. So that's fair enough. That's fine. It usually is something relatively straightforward. If things don't work out quite right, need to select something a little bit different. But anyway, what we have is 140 trees created from that, and they are all of various different sizes and whatever else. Okay, so that's pretty much that. There's not too much to it, in all honesty, but it does require a little bit of understanding of how to set it up, and what to what is required to get all that working. So yeah, that's pretty much that. So let me just actually, I delete all of those. Well, what you could do now is create your own different, because as I said before, I've just copied these ones and they're all in the same location as the originals. So this is where now you would delete those. But what I would potentially do is leave them as they are, because for now at least, because we might want to use those again in a new area. So what I would do is create a new group. So if I actually wanted to keep those trees where they are, I would create a new group in here, or even add them to an existing group. It just depends on what you want to do there. So for example, this one here, for the port, this is the port just here, or no, actually that's the port over there, isn't it? Let's just see what we've got here. Wonder what, yeah, so border. So I guess you could do that one there and include it in that one. Don't know. So you would create a new group name, perhaps, maybe. Yeah, I would create a new group name. So you just create a new transform group, like so. Then take this one, Control X, and then come into this one here, Control V, take the name from there, paste that into there like so, and then just highlight all of your trees that you've just created. So all of those, like so, Control X, then go to your new group name, transform group, Control V to paste them all into there. And then when you're done with all of these, you would just delete those extra ones like so. And that would keep the originals in place, but remove any duplicates. And you've now got your trees set up where you want them. To be honest, once you're done with this, you could even delete the whole thing, because you no longer require it. And that's fine. Then when you just come out of here, that will all disappear anyway, and we'll be back to what we have. So it's a really quick and easy way, I guess, of actually painting down, or planting multiple trees randomly, from your template. Now, obviously, in your template, if you just had one stage 5 spruce, then all of the trees here are going to be stage 5 spruce, just randomly placed. So it depends on what you want to do there. If you wanted to have some maple trees, pine trees, spruce trees, then you would create duplicates of those and put them in your template. And then when you run the script, you'll have randomly placed spruce, pine and maple trees. The other thing to look for is also in the script itself, you have a factor and you also have a tree radius. Now if I go back to here, there's a little bit of information there on what that all means. So basically the use bit is on which layer of the fruit density of the tree should be created. So whatever value you painted, as I said before, whatever value you painted or used to paint from here. So if I just done it again, look, let's go back to tip goal and then go back to fruit density. There we go. So if I used 18, for example, and then painted that down in my script, I would actually change that to 18. So if I go back into script editor, so here I would put in there 18. Okay, so it matches. And that's all you need to do then. But you need to make sure that once you paint down your value, whatever that might be, you save the map, then change the value in here. You don't necessarily need to save this, you just need to execute it, but I would recommend to save it first, then execute it. You know, run the script, but save it first, then run it or execute it. But you don't need to actually save, I don't believe. Sometimes when I've actually done this, if I was to do this, then go execute, it will actually give me a prompt and say you've modified, would you like to change? So, you know, just to prevent that from happening, it's always worth just saving and then executing. And it's going to give me lots of errors now because I haven't got anything selected. So it will throw up some Lewis stacks. But that's okay, that's fine. Doesn't matter, I've done what I needed to do. So the other parts here are the factor. So the number of how many random positions are generated does not say how many trees will ultimately be created. So if you have a factor of 1,000, that doesn't mean that you're going to get 1,000 trees. It just means that it's the number of how many random positions are generated. But it would also depend on the size of the area you painted down. So if you didn't paint a very big area, so if I go back into here again, you can see the size of the area that I've put down here. Because of the spacing that you would want between each of the trees, which also can be adjusted, you're not going to fit 10,000 trees in here because they would be all overlapping. But if I was to paint a much larger area, then potentially I would get, you know, obviously a lot more trees. But I've got 140, which is more than enough. So the next part then would be to adapt the tree radius depending on what you wanted. So the radius that the individual trees have to the next tree, so you don't have two trees on top of each other or sharing the same space or in the same position as it states there. So then you would go into the script and change the radius here to whatever you desire. So if you wanted them to be more spaced out, then you would increase that to whatever value. Those values there, the factor and the tree radius, would be something you'd need to experiment with to get the desired effect that you want from it. Unfortunately, there's no back button. So when you do it, whatever you create, you can't go back. It just creates whatever it creates. And then what you'd need to do, if you didn't like it, you would need to highlight the trees in the transform group here, less the template ones, and delete them, and then change the values and run the script again, if that makes sense. I'll try and demonstrate this. So if let me just come out of here a second. So if I would just use these, actually let's choose some different trees. So if I take this one, let's see what we've got here. So if we do a 2, 5, 3, 4. So these are all birch trees. You could obviously mix and match a few if you wanted to, but we'll just go with those just to show the differences here. So if I copy those, Control C, go to my template, Control V to put them into there like so. And then what I'll do, let's find another area. So I don't know. Let's do it. Let's do it here so it's on uneven ground to see how that handles everything. So if I come back in here, fruit density again, because it's gone the two values, we want to update that. So go back to your tip coal, put your cursor in the viewport there, go back to fruit, I keep calling it, it is fruit density. Yeah, go back to fruit density and then put your cursor in the screen here and you should find they all come back. So if I chose 18, for example, what I also have found with this, if you choose a value from the drop down, what you'll need to do is deselect the info channel bit and then reselect it again. And sometimes it freaks out and doesn't do the right value. So don't know again why that is, because now it's giving me 3. Doesn't make any sense. There we go. Is that right? 2, 4, 18. 18. There we go. I don't know why it does that, but sometimes you need to deselect and reselect these a few times for it to update. But if you don't do that, it will always paint it under value 0 or 1. I think it actually paints it under value 1. So you need to deselect these and reselect them again. Bit of a pain, but it is what it is. So let's go back to here. Let's paint an area just here, like so. Now that'll do. And then we'll run our script. So if I come back in, actually save the map. Yeah, remember, always save the map once you've painted your value in. So it updates the fruit density GRLE. Select your trees transform group, the main parent transform group. Open up your script. Change your bit value to 18. Change your value, your factor to whatever you need it to be. So if I say, let's do, I don't know, change this to 1.5 for the radius, something like that maybe. Save, execute, and we end up with this. So we've now got, a more spaced out kind of setup with our various different sizes of, what were those again? Birch trees. So, you can do that. And we had 151 trees created in that area. But if you thought, okay, I don't want that actually, that's not what I wanted. You see there's no back button, you can't go back. So what you would need to do is come into here and then select all of the trees less your template trees. You come into here and then shift select all of these, delete. Okay. And then go back to your template, the parent transform group here, trees. Open up your script again and then change your whatever you need to change in here. So if that was too much, for example, I might say, okay, 1.2 I think would be better. Save, execute. And now we have a different value. So the trees are now 156 trees we got there, not 151. So actually, even though we reduced the radius, it created more trees. So it's completely random. That's the whole idea of it, completely random. So we've now, it may have created more of the smaller trees in this particular run through. So now you might find you've got more of the stage 2 and 3 trees over the stage 4 and 5. It just all depends. It's completely random. But that's basically how that is all set up. So once you've set up your script, however you decide to do that, either you do it in Giants Editor directly, or you do it in the do it externally in Notepad++, and then add your script into your folder structure yourself manually. Entirely up to you which way you prefer to do that. Change your path file names here for the GRLE files, and you'll need to obviously download those. So you'll need to go to the GitHub page here, and then let me zoom back out here. You'll need to go into here, go to the main folder here, download the fruit density GRLE, and then like I did at the beginning, make a duplicate of it so that you've got both the fruit density and the field dimensions GRLE. This one is not going to be used in this scenario, but it needs to be there so that the script can see it, otherwise it won't work. and we have this one here. Then you will need to set up your map i3D to actually identify the location of this in the i3D itself, like I showed. And then create your templates. Paint your values, whatever you need to paint down, and run the script. And that's pretty much that. Sounds very complicated. It is a little bit of a head scratcher, but once you get into the swing of how things work, it's actually not too bad. It's much easier than placing down 156 trees manually, especially if they are all different sizes. You could theoretically take, you know, birch stage 4 and make 156 copies of that quite easily, I would say, by just holding down Control and doing multiple duplications randomly around. But they're all going to be the same size. So if you want them to be completely random with different heights, you know, different stages, this is a very good way of doing that. Hopefully what I've shown there, you know, highlights the functionality of how it all works and what you need to do to set it up. I'm Shy Wizard. Thanks very much for watching. I will catch you on the next one.